Hi everyone, I'm here in my patio and I wanted to tune in for today's message. And what I wanted to share, and I'd almost forgotten this, but thank goodness I wrote it on my phone. So last night I was going to sleep and it must have been like right as I was drifting off to sleep that I had this thought of like, oh, the kryptonite of helpers. And I was like, and I had like the download and I knew I had enough full waking consciousness to think I should write this on my phone. So I texted it to myself and then went back to bed and fell promptly asleep and completely forgot about it. And right now, as I was getting ready to share and I was just tuning in, like, what do I want to talk about? What's the message? And then I just remembered, like, wait a minute, I wrote something last night. So here it is. So Kryptonite, if you don't know, in the Superman story, right? He's a superhero from another planet. And he doesn't know that, right? He's a human. He thinks he's a human, except he's got all these weird things, all these sensitivities. It sounds very familiar, doesn't it? And then at some point he finds out he has superpowers and everything. I think I remembered this because in my podcast today, I'm pretty sure, I talked about, sensitivity and being overwhelmed by it, when in truth it's meant to be a gift. It's meant to help you feel better. And I think I mentioned Superman again. So this archetype is in my head, Superwoman, right? And so anyway, in the movie, in the comic book, the only thing that is his weakness is kryptonite, right? That stone. So what I was thinking when that came to my mind was how for helpers, there's these very specific kryptonites. There's like, and I'm going to name a few of them. There's more, but I invite you to notice which one it is for you, because the point is, and this is connected to really stepping away from the martyr helper identity into the sovereign helper self. And I don't think I even introduced myself, but if you're new to my work, my name is Lisa Espinosa. I'm a spiritual career coach for helpers, heart-led, sensitive helpers, change makers, visionaries. Maybe you're a therapist, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're in a completely different profession, but you've always had that longing to help others. You know that you're here for that. And the truth is, you've already helped so many people, maybe just by being an example of what's possible. So, but I often talk about how there's these thought errors, there's what I call the martyr helper identity, that keeps you dimming your light, that keeps you from fully having the impact you're meant to have, and from having it not only for your people, but really for it to be a blessing for you. And so the kryptonite, I was thinking about it and I was like, oh my gosh, there's being thought of as selfish, right? Like that is a huge one for helpers. Why would it be? Because as a helper, you're literally designed to help people, to bring in, to help people feel better, to help people transform, to help alleviate pain. So to be thought of, labeled as, judged as selfish, it's like, it's kryptonite. It's literally like, also disappointing people. That is a major thing. It could also feel like, I can't disappoint people. Like it can feel excruciating, right? So being called selfish, or your worry that you're going to be thought of as selfish, your worry of disappointing others. What else could it be? Being thought of as conceited, right? That you're showing off. And so I want you to think of them as kryptonite, because although of course these things might affect lots of people, there's a particular sting for helpers. But this is the thing, we must become immune to it. We must alchemize that and not let that be the kryptonite anymore. I'm not suggesting that suddenly we become selfish, greedy, conceited people. That's not what this is about. But it's understanding that the fear of being thought of as selfish, the fear of being thought of as conceited or like you're better than others, the fear of disappointing people, that can hold you back. That can keep you stuck. In fact, when I coach my clients, there's so many aspects to the coaching I do with them, but I never thought of it as kryptonite, but a lot of it is this, right? Is that maybe they've stayed doing their work a certain way because they don't want to disappoint their clients that love the way they do it. even though their soul is guiding them to try a new modality or to try to do it differently. Like I remember years ago coaching a client who was a therapist, and she really she was a therapist, but she was kind of transitioning into some other modalities, and she really wanted to integrate more mindfulness in her practice. But at the time that she wasn't really branded marketing that way. But that her soul was literally like, this is what she wanted to do. But she had so much fear of disappointing clients, of clients judging her. I think for her, it wasn't so much selfish. There was some of that, but it was more like judging her as naive, or like she was afraid to lose credibility. And so again, you find out what is your kryptonite. And again, we must become immune to it. We must alchemize that fear. Because when you're free from that, that is what releasing the martyr identity, this is part of that. Because then you can step into your sovereign self. As I said today, as I keep saying, as I will say in tomorrow's masterclass, by the way, tomorrow, I know you might be watching at a different time, but if you're watching tomorrow, October 16th, 2025, is my free masterclass, The Sovereign Shift, Reclaim Your Energy, Reclaim Your Throne. I'll put the link in the comments. But one of the big messages is, you're not here to save the world. As helpers, we're not here as saviors. We're here as liberators. We're here as sovereign beings to help, first of all. But in order to liberate, we must be liberated. We must be free from all the codependent, people-pleasing things that we carry. And everyone does. So there's no need to be ashamed. There's no judgment here. I've been clearing this for myself for a long, long time. And I'm not done. Because why? Because we have an ego structure. Yes, we're a soul having a human experience, but we also, when we drop into this human life, we have an ego. And the ego is really interested in self-preservation and fitting in not making waves. And so we have that inside of us. So of course those things, those fears of like, oh my gosh, I don't want people to think I'm selfish, or oh my gosh, I don't want people to think I'm being greedy, or oh my gosh, I don't want people to think that I think too highly of myself, or on and on and on and on. So it's normal to have those, but we are being called to not be normal. We're called to be led by our soul, to be a sovereign helper, because that's what the world needs. And let me back up. The most important reason is because that is what's going to bring you the most fulfillment, the most blessing, and as a result, the most impact and blessing for your people. And when I say your people, I mean the people you're here to serve, to help, to be an example for. So the takeaway, think about, what is your kryptonite? I know for me, for a long time, it was disappointing people. I mean, it's not like completely gone. I could still have the sting of it, but I have had I've done a lot of healing on that. And again, when I talk about healing on that, I won't share here. This isn't the space for that. But when I want to assure you, when I coach my clients, there's a process for that, right? A very compassionate process to find those parts of you that are afraid to disappoint people, to have compassion for those parts and help them unburden. A lot of times they're inner child parts. So there's a process. It's not like I'm saying, like, you can just decide. I mean, sometimes there's moments of grace where you've done so much inner work, and there's this moment where it suddenly feels like it just lifted from you. But even then, when it happens like that, that's as a result of a lot of inner work you've already put in. So it is a process. And if you're looking for help with this, I would love to talk. I do offer free sovereignty consults via Zoom. I'll put the link also in the comments. I open only a few slots a month, and I just opened a couple more for October, and I think one in November so far. So, all right. So think about your kryptonite. Set the intention that it no longer be your kryptonite, that you are free from it, that whatever it is for you, and set the intention. Ask your soul, call on your whatever divine beings you connect with. You know, I work very closely with Mother Mary and Jesus, and also Kuan Yin and Green Tara. Call on them, because they will help you spiritually, but also will bring those earth angels to you, those resources, books, whatever it is you need, maybe this video, to help you release that and fully step into your power. I'm sending you so much love, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.